If you're thinking of applying for a standard visitor visa and want to know what documents you're supposed to use, then this is the right video for you. What is up YouTube? Dr. Waji here and welcome to my channel where I help you achieve your dream of becoming a successful doctor in Pakistan or the UK. And I teach anatomy on the side. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to stay notified of the latest videos. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing what documents I used for my standard visitor visa application. So I'm going to be looking at the laptop, looking at you back and forth. If you just want a list of documents that you're supposed to use, I'm going to show that towards the end of the video. Timestamp should be in the description. But if you want to go into a little more detail about these documents, about what they are, how you can get them, what do they look like, then I'd recommend watching the whole video. Full disclosure before we start, I am not an expert in the matter. I am not a lawyer. I do not speak on behalf of the Home Office. This is just something that I used and it worked for me, and I hope to help you guys out there by sharing my experience. So basically, the documents that you're going to need for your application, I've grouped into a couple of categories according to my cover letter. If you haven't checked out my video on a cover letter, do give that a go. It's in the top right hand corner here. I've gone into a lot of detail about how you're supposed to write a good cover letter and what does a good template look like. So without further ado, let's begin. The first thing that I talked about in my cover letter was how I was a registered medical practitioner. I had cleared the IELTS exam and the PLAB 1 exam, and now I was applying for the PLAB 2 exam. So the first list of documents that I uploaded was education evidence, because I had to prove that I was really a registered medical practitioner. So to do this, what I did was I uploaded my O-level transcripts, I uploaded my A-level transcripts, my MBBS transcripts, the MBBS degree, house job certificates, my IELTS result, PLAB 1 result, and my permanent PMC registration. The reason why I went into so much detail about uploading these things was because I had claimed that I was a medical practitioner, and these documents quite clearly showed that I had passed the relevant exams and gone through the relevant training, and I had the license that I claimed I did. Remember, it's very important to upload your PLAB 1 result as well, because you're claiming to go for a PLAB 2 exam, so you need to already have cleared the PLAB 1. The second category that I talked about in my cover letter were my personal circumstances, including my family and the house I lived in. So as evidence of that, I uploaded my family's national ID cards, we call them CNICs over here, and a family registration certificate. Now, this was incredibly important because if you say your sponsor, for example, is your dad, you need to be able to prove that relationship, because your sponsor is the most scrutinized part of your whole application. So when I provided my ID card, it had my father's name on it, and the family registration certificate that I provided, it just proved the relationship, right? So very important to upload your family registration certificates. They help prove your relationships. If, for example, your sponsor is not going to be your dad, but let's say your uncle, let's say your mom's brother, then you're going to have to not only upload your family registration certificate, but your mom's family registration certificate as well, so that you can prove a link between you and your sponsor. I also stated in my application that the house was in my mom's name. So in order to prove that, I provided a transfer deed or a mutation deed that said that the house had been transferred to my mom. Now, I do understand that this won't apply to everyone, and I can't really be sure how you're supposed to prove different living circumstances, but from what I know, for folks that live in a rented property, my personal advice would be to get in touch with someone that has gone through the process with your similar circumstances. But I do believe that if there is a tenancy agreement that has your name on it or your family member's name on it, and you can prove your relationship and the fact that you live with them, then it shouldn't be a big deal. Alright, so the next bit in my cover letter stated my plan for the accommodation. So the way I went about my accommodation was that I stayed with a family friend for 2 weeks in quarantine, and then I moved into my own Airbnb. So the Airbnb bit was really easy. They provide a letter for visa purposes. So just get a PDF of that plus the receipt. The part where I stayed with the family friend. Now, what documents did I use for that? Well, first up, I submitted their passport. Second, I submitted a letter of invitation. So it looked something like this. I had them write down that I was coming in for my PLAB 2 exam. It was going to be on this date. these were my details, and they had the means and space to support me, and that if I got the valid leave to remain, then they would be happy to have me over. And then I mentioned their contact details in case the Home Office wanted to contact them just to confirm the story. Additionally, I also provided their bank statements, utility bill, and council tax bill. Now, for most of us back home, we get what a utility bill is, gas, electric, Wi-Fi, etc. But a council tax bill can be confusing, and you might wonder, where do I get this from? But if whoever's inviting you to the UK, if you just mention that I'll need a council tax bill to prove that you live there, they'll know what to do, okay? So just leave it with them, and they'll provide you with the necessary documents. So we've done passport, invitation letter, council tax, utility bill, and bank statements. These are the most important documents that you need to submit if someone is inviting you to live with them in the UK. Now, we come on down to the most important and most scrutinized part of your visa application. This is your sponsor details. So for me, in my case, it was my dad. The documents that I provided were dad's passport, his bank statements for the past 6 months, his tax returns for the past 3 years. Admittedly, I went a little overboard with the whole 3 years. You can give tax returns for up to the past year as well. It's not a big deal. But tax returns are a great way of showing your sponsor's financial details. So it was a great document to submit as evidence because it just highlighted the money that was available to him and really made things clear. Affidavit of support and letter of support. So the affidavit in my country looks a little something like this. It should be written by the sponsor. So for example, in my case, what dad did was wrote his name, his father's name, where he lived, and mentioned that he was the deponent of this affidavit. And then he mentioned that his son, me, would be going to Manchester to take the PLAB 2 exam, and he declared that he would be paying for all the expenses, including airfare, food, living, etc. And that everything stated in this affidavit was true to the best of his knowledge. And that was it. Letter of support would look something like this. Now, my dad works as a GP and he has his own clinic, so I needed to get this letter of support to show that this was his means of income, right? If your sponsor is employed in an institution, then that makes the whole thing way easier. Just get a payslip, just get a letter from the HR saying that this is their job title, this is their salary, and bang, you're done. But everyone's circumstances are going to be slightly different. You really have to accommodate your own circumstances. So in my case, dad was a GP, so I had him write this letter on his clinic's letterhead, and it said that basically he was a resident of this part of Pakistan, his TNIC number is this, he is the sole proprietor of this clinic, and that is his private business and means of income, and his total income per year is this much, net assets are this much, cash is this much. And additionally, he went on to say that his son, me, will be traveling to the United Kingdom to take the PLAB 2 exam on this date, and he's going to be the financial grantor on this trip and going to pay for all expenses, including but not limited to flights, accommodation, exam fee, food, daily living, transport, and etc. And then he went on to mention the payments that he'd already made for my PLAB 2 journey and the payments that he anticipated, and that he was fully capable of making these payments and had attached evidences like bank statements, affidavit of support, tax returns to prove that he had the means. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how important this part of your application is. The sponsor details are the ones that are going to make or break your application because they scrutinize the hell out of these finances. So you better make sure that you have all the necessary documents to prove every single thing that you claim in your application, and the finances need to be absolutely right. Additionally, I had mentioned that I was working as a resident medical officer at this hospital, so I had to give evidence of that as well. I showed my payslip, and additionally I got a letter from the HR stating that this was my title, this was my salary, and this letter was for visa purposes. So that is something that you can use as evidence of where you're currently employed. Some people ask me about NOCs. I personally did not get an NOC made, but the reason behind that was because I had already been working there for about more than 4 months. But if you're someone that has recently just started employment, let's say, and it's not even been 2 months yet, you definitely need an NOC from your employer. Otherwise, they put a question mark on it and ask, well, you just started work, how are you already getting leaves? So I had already been working, I had passed my probationary period, and I had already become a permanent employee there. So it was more reasonable. Just to be on the safe side, I would always advise people to get an NOC from their job. It's playing it safe. I personally didn't have to do it, but it's better to have it. Also, since I had mentioned I was employed, I had to show my own personal bank statement as well. And this had to be from the bank that was receiving salaries from my employer. So if you're mentioning that you're an employee somewhere, you definitely have to show your bank statement that shows salary going in. But if you say that you're not employed, then your bank statement wouldn't make much of a difference. Your sponsors is what will definitely matter. One thing before I forget, whenever you're submitting a bank statement, in addition to a bank statement, you should also submit an account maintenance certificate. What is it? How do you get it? Just go to the bank. When you ask for your bank statement, ask for an account maintenance certificate as well. These are two very important documents that you and your sponsor are going to need for your application. And finally, we come down to the additional document section. Again, I would call this the most important section as well. All these sections are important. You really need to provide evidence for every single thing that you're stating in your cover letter, every single thing that's relevant to your application. So there's no such thing as a non-relevant part over here. Even the additional documents are important. In additional documents, I submitted the letter of invitation from the GMC, which confirmed my PLAB 2 seat, the receipt from the GMC for the payment that I had made, a confirmation letter from Aspire for their batch, payment receipt from Aspire for the course, my own cover letter, and my current and old passports. Do upload your current and old passports because it's very important. I had a very long travel history, so it was more important for me, but don't miss out on uploading those either. This would be the basic application. Some things that were more relevant to me were the fact that one of my PLAB 2 dates had been cancelled and I had to rebook for another date. So in additional documents, I included some extra stuff that might not be relevant for you guys, but I'll mention it just the same. I uploaded an email correspondence to the Aspire stating that they would allow me to attend a later batch with the old payment. So I didn't have to pay Aspire again. They just carried forward my old payment into a new batch. I also uploaded the My Tests page from GMC Online that showed that my original exam had been cancelled and I had booked another exam for a later date. And I also uploaded a correspondence from the GMC where they mentioned that the exam had been cancelled and dates had been moved forward, just as evidence that, oh, I had previously booked all of this stuff, but everything's been moved forward by 6 months. So that's out of my control. So be sure to upload all of the documents that are relevant to you. Now, these documents were relevant to me and my personal circumstances. They might not apply to you, but I hope they're gonna give you some sort of idea about where you're supposed to start, where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. And before the end, I just want to discuss 2 cases of my friends who did recently have a visa rejection. I was hoping that we could discuss them so that you guys learn how subtle mistakes can be, and even though if sometimes we think we have the right documents but we actually don't. So the first case that I want to share with you was for one of my friends that booked the PLAB 2 exam, but her visa got rejected. And the only reason that they rejected the visa was because they didn't believe that she had a genuine relationship with her sponsor. Her sponsor was supposed to be an uncle who lived abroad. And even though she'd provided her family registration certificate, she didn't provide his family registration certificate. So, you know, that common link between them wasn't very obvious. And therefore, the Home Office found a question mark and they refused entry. So be very clear about what your relationship is. If you can prove it, then do try to prove it. And at the end of the day, use whatever evidence is available to you to show that you have a genuine connection with your sponsor. Now, second case. Now, this friend applied for the PLAB 2, had her visa rejected, and what happened in this case was that She mentioned that she was employed with an institution. The institution asked her to open up a bank account in a particular bank. So she opened up that account only a month or two ago, but she didn't have any transactions in it, apart from the one salary that had been paid to her. So she felt like instead of providing this bank statement, it would be better to provide her other bank account statement from where she had a good amount accumulated. The first thing that they caught her on was that you mentioned you were employed, but we didn't see any evidence of regular income. So because she didn't provide the right bank, they caught her on that. The second thing they caught her on was the fact that she had just recently started working at an institution and she didn't provide an NOC. So they questioned, where's the NOC? Because you just started at an institution and it's hard for them to believe that she would get such long leaves at such an early stage. The third thing they caught her on was she mentioned that she used to get some sort of pocket money from her family, but her bank statements did not reflect that. And what she told me was that she used to just get the money and spend it right there and then. She didn't deposit it in her accounts. So if you're not going to provide evidence, then you shouldn't mention that you're getting that extra pocket money as well. And the final thing that I believe messed up the application was that her sponsor received a huge payment in cash in his account, nearly £6,000. That is a lot of money. That is crazy amounts of money. And she did not explain this financial transaction in her cover letter. And then the Home Office mentioned that your sponsors received a huge amount and therefore they believe that this application is not genuine. Things started falling apart from that red flag. At least that's what I think. Now some of you might say, well, am I just not supposed to have any transactions in my account for the 6 months? That's not true. Is my sponsor not supposed to have that? That's not true either. But if there are any huge transactions happening, then they should be explained in your cover letter quite clearly that this was part of a business deal, that this was because of this, and then you provide the evidence for it. It means whatever you need to prove that this was a legitimate transaction and it's just a part of life. It's not something shady. So if the finances aren't right, that's a huge red flag, and that leads to further scrutiny, which might connect the dots in such a way that the application looks disingenuous. So be sure to provide the right evidence. And if you are in doubt, 1%, even 1% that maybe I need to submit something extra, then ask somebody. Ask somebody who's been through the process about what they did and what do you think you should do. Don't go out on a whim and submit your application because you really don't want to have to face that refusal. It's a hard thing. Well, I hope my experience, the experience of my friends, helps you out. Be careful, do your own research. Don't blindly just follow one person. Use multiple sources for information and your own head, and be sure that your application reflects your own circumstances, because every person's circumstances are different and they will need different evidences to prove them. All right, if you found this video helpful, then do let me know in the comments below. If you have any other questions that maybe I can help you out with, post them in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I hope this video was helpful. Hope it made sense of some things that really freak us out. And good luck for all your applications out there. See you in the next one.